Hello everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be about 10 career alternatives for therapists. If you are someone who is burnt out of doing one-to-one therapy, or maybe you just don't like doing talk therapy and you are looking for something else, I have 10 different ideas for you that are going to still use your skills and that you will be uniquely qualified for. So if this is something you are interested in, just keep watching. Hello, my name is Allyssa Powers, and I created this YouTube channel to teach you the things that grad school didn't, so you can thrive in the mental health field. I am an LPCCs in Ohio, and I am currently on maternity leave. I'm joined by my 7-week-old baby boy, Teddy, and hopefully he lets me film this. I have probably tried to film this video 10 different times, not an exaggeration. I've been trying to film this video for about 3 days now. So fingers crossed that this is the time that it works out. As always, my NCE study guide is linked in the description box below and ready for purchase if you are someone who is looking to take the NCE anytime soon. And as always, please give this video a like and subscribe and stick around. I would love to have you here. We talk about all things therapy, what it's like to be a therapist. We talk a lot about private practice as well as grad school. So let's get right into these ideas. Now, not to toot my own horn, but I have watched other videos that exist on this topic, and I don't love a lot of the ideas that are given in these videos because they're things that anyone could do. Like telling someone that being an entrepreneur is one of the ideas or alternatives. It's like anyone can be an entrepreneur, right? Anyone can be a life coach. There's not really like qualifications that you have to be a life coach. Anyone can be an influencer. Of course, if you're trying to be a specific like therapist influencer, then yes, you would need to also be a therapist, right? But my ideas are a little more specific to people who have a master's in some kind of therapy degree. So clinical mental health counseling, social work, psychology, you get the gist. I also wanted to throw out there that I think each of these 10 ideas kind of falls into one of 3 major categories. So teaching opportunities, insurance, and therapy adjacent things. So number 1 would fall into therapy adjacent, and that is being a clinical supervisor. Now, you would obviously need to be like me and be an LPCCs or whatever that equivalency is in your field to be a clinical supervisor, but you could still work in the mental health field and do less one-to-one direct therapy sessions and do more of the supervision side of things. Of course, you would have to like being a supervisor, and that would have to appeal to you. I personally think that that sounds worse than doing one-to-one therapy, but that is something that a lot of people find themselves being really drawn into. If you like educating people, if you like guiding other therapists, that could be a great pivot for you in your career. Number 2 also falls in the therapy adjacent category, which is giving assessments. While this can kind of look similar to doing one-to-one therapy, doing assessments is a great opportunity that we have as therapists because we are trained in giving specific assessments, and a lot of people will specialize and have a therapy practice that is all assessment based. So maybe they give autism assessments and they're going to provide paperwork and work with the schools and do all of those extra things that just a generalized therapist isn't going to have the know-how to do. Assessment-based therapy can be very needed and honestly can be a great way to advocate for a specific kind of clientele. Okay, number 3, also therapy adjacent, would be working on a well-being team in either some sort of company or at a university. Now, these jobs, while they are not super common, I wanted to throw this in here that they do exist. Some tech companies have well-being departments. Some universities have well-being departments where they are basically doing programming that is mental health focused, if that makes sense. So you can think like, yes, universities probably have extra mental health resources during exam week, for instance. They have people that are on staff full-time that are trying to advocate for student wellness, and that is something that someone with a therapy background would be highly qualified to do. Number 4, we are also somewhat qualified to work in insurance. If you are a therapist, you know that working with insurance ends up being a big part of our job, unfortunately, for many of us, and it is not something that you get trained on at all in grad school. So take it with a grain of salt. I'm not saying that we are like insurance billers by any means, but know that there is something called a behavioral health clinical reviewer. That is a job title that you could find through insurance companies to work on their insurance teams and basically review their behavioral health claims. So not for me, but know that that is something that would potentially be work from home and is probably always in need, right? Because insurance companies are big companies that are typically hiring. So that could be a really good opportunity if you are someone who wants to have a desk job and wants less social interactions. Next thing, number 4, working in higher education as an academic advisor. While there are people who get masters in higher ed, just know that also therapists are qualified to work as academic advisors. I know a few different therapists who ended up being academic advisors in higher education. And if you like working with college students, that could be a wonderful, more office kind of job where you're still working one-on-one with people, but you're not providing direct therapy to clients, which is really nice. Number 6 is probably the most general one on the list, but working for a nonprofit. Of course, there's a million different nonprofits, and this could look really different depending on what you're passionate about, what your skill set is, and who they're looking to hire. But know that a lot of nonprofits are, very heart focused, very person focused, and will have a need for people who have a background in mental health. Number 7 is doing admin work, any kind of admin work for any sort of mental health agency, nonprofit, even hospitals. That is a huge need, and having your mental health background could help you be uniquely qualified. Number 8 is working as an adjunct professor. While yes, plenty of professors need to have their doctorate degree, and there is a whole path to get your doctorate in counselor education to teach counseling students. I'm not saying that you're qualified to do that with your master's, but sometimes they will have master's level clinicians teach like a, what's it called? Elective. I got there. An elective course that, is just like once a week. And I know that you are not going to be rolling in the dough from doing that, but it definitely is something that a lot of therapists love to do and is a great resume builder and can just be really, really gratifying. And then the last 2 ideas are kind of similar. So number 9, nannying for a special needs kid. There are kids that really need specialty care that have certain behaviors that they're dealing with that could really benefit from a caretaker that has a background in mental health. So not to say that you are their, live-in therapist by any means, but nannying, if you like kids, for a kid that is high needs can actually be very lucrative. There are families that are willing to pay, that have the ability to pay for people that are extremely qualified. Because do you need a master's degree to nanny? No, you do not. But there are specific people that are, willing to hire someone who has a master's and really go above and beyond for their kids. And then number 10, last idea, similar to the last one, is being a teacher for a K-12 school or a tutor. Now, this is something that I was able to do. I have an undergrad degree in education, And you actually only need a bachelor's degree to teach for a lot of schools. Public schools, you do need a specific education degree, but a lot of like private schools, like Catholic schools, Christian schools, charter schools, any sort of alternative education schools, a lot of times you just need a bachelor's degree. So having your master's would make you even more qualified. And then working as a tutor or even a substitute teacher, there are a lot of great career opportunities in the education field, and your therapy degree makes you so qualified to work with people, because we know people. If there's anything, we know people. And if you like working with kids, then being able to be someone who's in the schools with them is really a unique opportunity. Okay, well, those are my 10 ideas. I hope that this was helpful. If you are someone who has pivoted in your career and you are no longer doing one-to-one therapy, or you know someone who has pivoted, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you are doing now. And as always, please give this video a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye.